gosh, it's happening. They're here already, they're here. Damaged, run! Get out! Get out, it doesn't work. Oh, no! Hey guys, welcome back to another video. So today I'm just going to be going over an idea I had. It's going to be about zombies and a potential infected mode for a BRM5. So I just wanted to chat about some of my ideas. And it's really just for entertainment, and if the devs actually took any inspiration from this, that'd be awesome, but I don't expect them to, and it very well might not even be possible with the studio they're working with, or their own things they know, so obviously I don't expect this to be added. Just kind of rambling here to get the community's take, and propose an idea that I've been thinking of, because it'll be fun, and who doesn't want to talk about a zombie mode? I think that'd be awesome for this game. I think many people like that sort of thing, especially in this genre. And I think if they do it right, and in a unique way, whatever that may be, it'll add a lot. Because, of course, they could just do a generic wave-based system in a small city, and, like, there's nothing else to it. It's just same thing over and over and over again. But I think it'd be cool if they created some new maps, new content, and even a little bit of story with it. So I'm going to be taking you through my idea here. Stay tuned, and be sure to hit that like button if you enjoy. So first I'm going to give a description of the infected, or zombies, whatever you want to call them. So I think there could be multiple classes for these zombies. You could have maybe some fast ones, some big ones that are slow. Try and think of some unique stuff. Maybe that some have a ranged attack. Like, I know a lot of zombie games do that. They can throw some sort of crap at you to take you out. I think the model of them is important, so definitely make it look scary, not just a generic guy with like red eyes. I think they could add some good texture to it and really make it creepy and give variety between each zombies, giving a few different skins that they could have. I think the backstory, just random idea here, it could be something like a testing facility gone wrong from the POD. You might even find zombies still wearing like some POD armor or something. I think that'd be really cool, and those could be like more buff or something, you know. And maybe this can be like a separate island that's even smaller than Ronograd Island, just like off to the side somewhere. And how it could work as it takes you through this, there wouldn't be too much story, but there might be small cutscenes at the beginning, the end, just to add a little bit of content to it. That way, even the first time in, it's immersive. It takes you through a journey. You're not just playing like every other mode. Like, I know there's slight lore for open world with all the quest people, but it's nothing crazy that actually makes you feel too much emotion. It's really just to make it feel like at least the city is alive. But this would add a depth of a scenario that could actually play out. It doesn't have to be part of the main open world game, but it can just be almost like a different universe of BRM where there was infected. So I'm thinking there could be like levels to this. You know how raid mode had missions? They could kind of do it like raid mode, but not have much story in it. Just have it sprinkled throughout. Because I think that'd be a fair replacement given they had it, but then just canceled it after saying they had more plans to do more with raid mode, which they didn't. But anyway, in these levels, I think there could definitely be multiplayer. You know, maybe 5 to 10 players. That go with you, and you go in and do some small missions, and it gets harder over time. Probably just a few missions, and they can update these as they go. And I think it'll bring a lot of people in, even if there's a little story behind it, because they'll want to see what happens next and earn whatever you can get from these missions. But yeah, I think that story aspect would add a lot. And of course, all levels would be replayable after you've beaten them. So I'll give an idea for the first mission. And of course, the general way that I'm describing this all can be taken as inspiration. Not that they probably will even watch this video. Or the specifics of the missions I go into as well, of course. But here's what I'm saying for mission 1. It could be like a mission where they're going to the testing site that went wrong that I talked about earlier. And you have to move into that facility. Like I said, possibly one that's like on a smaller island. In a medium to close quarters area with the first ever seen infected. And maybe you have a small group, like I said, of 5 to 10 people that are multiplayer that joined with you, and you can chat with them. And they can die at any point, and I say no respawn for a scenario like that, just to make you feel like you really don't want to die. You know, maybe it takes 15 to 20 minutes to do this right and good. Your goal can really to be a few things. It could be to save survivors, stop the outbreak, get the doctors that might be able to find a cure, whatever. And obviously you have to win to progress, get to the next mission, whatever. This mission I think should be immersive, entertaining, maybe the best quality cutscene to really get people like drawn into it and want to play this more. Because obviously if you don't hook them on the first one, they're not going to be staying around. But it doesn't have to be extremely difficult. It definitely should be, but probably nothing crazy. Because if you start off with the hardest thing, then the other missions are going to feel the exact same. It's not going to feel like you progress much. And at the end of that mission, you could show that someone infected got out, or one of the soldiers is secretly bitten. You know how they do that crap in zombie movies and games and shows and whatnot. So, you know, you could have one of the soldiers that ends up freaking making it back to the base, and then we have an issue with that in mission 2. Or you could have one of the random infected, like, goes on their, whatever they're riding back secretly. Anything like that, really, to show that the infected actually got out of the area that they were trying to contain them. So you could have that part 2 follow, like I said, in 2 ways. And if it's like a soldier, like I said, the FOB could have a full-on outbreak of zombies. Imagine like a cutscene where you wake up in the FOB and you hear like gunshots, and like you can hear fire, and there's like yelling in the background, and like you step outside and everything's like chaotic, and you just see some like creature running at you, bro. Like just something quick like that. Let's say that's a 10-second cutscene. Get a decent animator, bro. That could be awesome. And so you kind of take those waves of infected around you out. You, like I said, still a few multiplayers with you. Maybe you can choose to go in solo, but you could try it with some multiplayer people. And just go through, and you have to survive a certain amount of time. And let's just say you have to escape. You have to get out of the FOB, and then maybe in that same mission you can come back and clear it. Or during that mission, they can just have you clear it before you even try and escape. Anything like that. Just like a huge main event for the middle that shows like the heart of the outbreak and the worst part. Anything like that. And so after that, you could have mission 3 follow up. This mission can kind of be called like a cleanup job. And maybe they'll explain how you think it's going to be easy or something. And like there's pockets of infected running about. Maybe a few of them went to like a cave system. Something cool like that to give you a different map and a different feel and a different theme. So going into like a cave system like that underground, where it's like dark and eerie, and you're walking through with like a small squad, that could be very interesting. And I'm talking close quarters, just to make it even worse. And I want it to be like super difficult. Like if y'all remember that one hard quest that there was, you go down into like a system, and it's the POD, I believe. I want this to be like double as hard as that. I want it to take like a multitude of tries. I'm talking a lot of tries and top skilled players to beat it. You know, I want something that's like almost impossible to do, to where those kids and really young people who maybe aren't the best complain, but then they have, imagine the like happiness after that when you do beat it and you do win. I think that's something that can make it great. Having difficulty like that, some people will complain and just give up, but if you actually take the time and you beat something that's difficult, you're going to feel way better than if it's easy, repetitive, and you can just do it any day as a 0 star, you know? Like, I think it'd be really nice to have that be something. Obviously, you'd have to be the first 2 missions first, so you'd have some experience, but I want it to be something you'd be challenged with. And so, I think all that wrapping up and showing that you kind of cleaned the rest of the infected out would be a good ending to it. You could say that it's never fully a fixed issue, and then you could mix in infected in the regular open world here and there, but I think that'd be kinda fine to keep separate, you know, and just have this zombie mode kind of be an alternate universe where there was an outbreak. Most players would probably be okay with that. There used to be open world zombies spread throughout in the old map. If y'all were there for those days, I still remember that. They were very basic back then. They'd just like stand randomly on the city streets, so that was kind of weird. If they did it in open world again, I think they'd have to think of a little bit of a better way to throw that in. I don't really have a good idea for it, to be honest, but just something that's not so basic like that. But instead of that, you could have a extra mission, perhaps one that you have to be like a certain amount of stars for, and having to have beaten like every other mission, of course. This could be a scenario where the infected won. Like, we're talking a world where the Ronograd city was completely overrun. We failed to like hold the infected off at the FOB. They ran rampant around everywhere, took everything out. This could be like a scenario where they bombed the island of Veronigrad to try and clear out the infection, and there's just like an apocalyptic scenario with like a few operators left. Obviously, this sounds grand scale, but if you take the time to go into a very niche part of the island and show that there's like one little camp left with just a few survivors, and tell it from their perspective as you're just looking out into what looks like a burning island, something like that, right? Where you're not going too in depth, you're not doing a full show of the whole island, you can't like leave your area. That way they don't have to develop and create too much, because obviously that sounds really hard to create, and it probably would be even if you keep it contained in a small area like that. But what I'm trying to say is, put the operator in a small area, but show them how grand what's happening is in this scenario. I don't know how hard that would be. I don't even know if that's plausible. Either way, man, it's fun to talk about. That sounds epic. You know that nuke that the POD had? You could say that, like, that was used to try and clear the island out because of the danger of letting the infected get worse and then eventually getting off island. I don't know, man. I feel like that would be an awesome scenario. You know, they don't have to animate the part where the nuke goes down or something crazy like that, but still. With that point out of the way, I think the actual aspect of the mission could be holding off waves of infected, huge waves of infected, like running from all angles, before you can get evacuated. Maybe there's like one final, like, something by air, something by sea, whatever, coming to pick up the survivors of this island. And so the operators maybe could be like holding these infected off as they're trying to run and hop over whatever fence or little base they got going, with, like, you know, the island on fire behind them. Imagine how cool that would look. How that's all happening, you have like a timer at the top showing you just need to hold them off this long. There's like, you know, maybe a few waves and hordes of them coming. And if you're able to go for long enough on that mode, you'll get evacuated and you know, quote unquote win. But if they take you out before the evacuation gets there, you lose. So that could be like a fourth bonus mission for high star players who are very skilled. All of this sounds replayable enough to me in how immersive it'd be, and difficult eventually, at least. Maybe not for the first mission, but eventually difficult. And honestly, just a different take, a different perspective of the game. If they're going to do this, I want them to go all out. They don't have to do it in any way that I just described, as long as it's different. You know? I don't want it to feel like they just turned one of the PvP maps, like Gym, into the zombie mode, and 2 zombies to 10 zombies spawn in every 10 seconds on the opposite end of Gym, and you gotta hold them off. Like, that's lame. I hope they don't do that. I hope they make something new for it, and I believe they will, and I'd rather quality over quantity with an update like this. So if it took a year to get everything I just talked about done, if I could have that, I would do that. Obviously, they could work on other stuff on the side. This wouldn't have to be their main focus. And again, this is probably way harder than I think, and I have no perspective on programming like they do. So take this all with a grain of salt and understand that it's just me having a good time talking about it. And y'all can comment on this in the video too below. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your ideas. If anything, this video can be a point of reference for what the community wants. If they like my idea, if they have ideas in the comments they really like more. And one last thing, I just pull up here real quick. I actually did a poll, and I asked, do people want to see 10v10 more or zombie mode more? I want both, but what I was saying was I'd rather a zombie mode because it's a completely different and unique branch of gameplay. We already have PvP, although 10v10 would be awesome. We do already have something in that theme. So zombie mode for me is what I would want, and it was 90% of people out of about 150 votes right now that went for zombie mode, and about 10% that went for 10v10. So the community definitely wants a zombie mode. It's in the history of BRM already, so it's kind of in the blood of some of the older players, you could say. So people already kind of feel that makes sense for the game. If y'all don't know, there actually was a zombie quick little event. I think it was last Halloween or maybe 2 years ago Halloween. I actually made a video on it, but it was crappy. I wasn't very good at YouTube yet back then. I mean, I thought I was back then, but looking back as a YouTuber, you always think, oh my gosh, it was so bad. But that really goes for a lot of things in life. Anyway, me randomly getting into a deep subject at the end of the video here. I don't really know why. We're going to go ahead and close it off. I hope you guys had a good time listening, and I'll see you in the next one.